Hey guys, welcome to a Tryptic's mod audio commentary. That's Fleet Operations Tryptic's mod. This is version 1.1, so I've made a couple of changes as requested by the community and also fixed some stuff that was not working previously. So this is a 3 vs 3 game, but not everybody is using the races that I have modified, which is still just Romulan and Borg. So as soon as I load some textures here. So hopefully we're going to get to see how the new ships interact with the old ships. So, our teams, there's a Romulan player, there is another Romulan, so we have 2 Borg, 2 Romulan, and a Fed so far. And oh wow, so we have triple Romulan on the bottom versus 2 Borg and a Fed. So even though I think 4 out of 6 of these people went random, everybody's still getting the new races. And I have something exciting to show you guys. Any second now. There we go. So one of the first changes I made is starbases can now power 3 defensive batteries. They will only power the 3 batteries that are closest to the starbase, and you can see the range there is strategic range. So honestly, it's not enough to really get them where you want them on the outside of the moon, but it's pretty close. And that should help in specific situations like Romulans versus Borg on Duel, when you're being raided very early. So, what we have Ray, MightyMaster, and FleetNoob going against Beki, Fatal Exception, and Shadow de Grey. As you can see, Ray has got Feds, and let's see, MightyMaster is the middle one, right? Yes, MightyMaster has Borg, and so does FleetNoob. That's an Assimilate Borg, or Optimize Borg. They're both getting their conduction matrices, and Ray probably went Mason. I'm not sure though. Down here, Beki is Romulan. Well, yeah, all 3 are Romulan down here. Beki, Fatal Exception, and Shadow de Grey. So let's see what they're coming up with. I've been talking to guys about how to balance the small yard versus large yard ships, because what I've been doing, a lot of the smaller yard ships have had their build times increased. And also, in this patch, in this mod, I'm trying to keep things relatively balanced by buffing things that were already weak and maybe weakening things that were already strong. So the idea is that the old races should be able to have a balanced fight with the new races. There's Fatal Exception is loading his board textures. But some people are saying, like, at some point I might just end up making these races stronger. And if I do that, then all of a sudden it isn't fair for somebody to use a race that I've already modified against a race that I haven't modified. And that makes it kind of tricky because I want to get good feedback, and I don't want to wait until I've done all 5 races to get all 5 races of feedback. So the goal is not for these races to be more powerful than the other races, although I will be honest, most of the changes I've made have been small buffs. So, down here, Shadow is going for a Star Yard first, and we'll find out which avatar he is shortly. Fatal Exception is probably going for Warbird Yard right here. And then Beki is getting Research Institute, so she is probably also going... Oh, no, she has a Star Yard. So maybe they're planning to transition up later, or just go for smaller yard ships. So, changes for Romulans. The other change I made is... We were talking about Romulan miners, and I made them tougher. They went from 13 defense to 15, and their speed went to 60 instead of 50. And if you have a cloaking generator, they can now cloak for a much longer amount of time. We were talking about like who should have the weakest miners, and I was wondering, is it okay for them to have stronger miners than Feds? Because Feds and Romulans have the weakest miners, but Feds can also get turrets and such. So we figured it was okay for Romulans and Feds to have about the same level strength. So, I should also mention Ray has not... Shadow de Grey's loading textures, by the way. Ray has also not played this game in over a year, at least. So, he's getting his engineering now, but he got a... Oh, well, there's that. He did get a very forward yard. He's trying to claim this position between him and the Romulan, which in some cases would be a pretty good job, since the Romulans don't have the ability to turret up. Over here we see Beki about to finish this research and we'll see what she's building. Fatal Exceptions, Warbird Yard is about to complete. And we have Generics coming out from Shadow. Let's see. Okay, his turrets are within charge range, so these will stay charged. Also, these can be decommissioned for full price. So, if he doesn't like them, or if he doesn't need them later on in the game, he can get rid of them. So, this will be interesting, because Generics themselves have not been changed at all, and if you get a Spectre refit, if you take a Generics and refit it into a Spectre, that has not changed either. The price is all the same. It's only when they're built out of the yard that you get a discount. So these Generics will be a strategy similar to the way we used to play. There won't be any differences to it. And Generics are good against Borg in almost all situations. I mean, in order to really get to do well, you may have to mask them because you're expecting an assimilator or a sphere or something big that you can sink your torpedoes into. And so people would build nothing but Generics. But on a map this big, the Generics is also kind of slow, so, I mean, he won't be able to raid. And that's another big consideration here, is these are all Borg players, or two of them are, so the Romulans' ability to raid these miners early game is not very high. So they're not really worrying about getting fast ships and going out there and raiding. They're more worried about slower backbone ships. So here, oh yes, Fatal Exception is Muriel, and Shadow is Helev, and down here I'm expecting Beki is Muriel. And since Beki is getting the Star Yard so early, that may just be a repair yard. Let me see. Okay. This may just be for repair purposes, but since Beki has gone ahead and gotten the Star Yard, and is also getting a Warbird Yard, that means she could get the Tal Shiar and get the Nerexin, which is the higher tech. It's a bit higher tech than the Diderix and the Salar, because you had to buy, because the Diderix and the Salar do not require the Star Yard. So there's the whole cost of the Star Yard and the Tal Shiar Academy before you can get that Nerexin. So, Ray is getting his platform. He's got the one token saber, but he's going into Intrepid production now. He can also get monsoons, and by the way, he is Mason. He can get monsoons that will be pretty effective against Salars, which, yes, this is Risner. So two of these are Risners. The one in the middle is sorry, not Risner, Muriel. So two Muriels and one Helev over here. So Helev, he's using that supply cost decrease to just go Generics, while his friends are both going Warbirds. This early on in the game, these Warbirds are very expensive. Like, I may have increased their stats, but except for the Euresis, I didn't change any of their costs. So this still costs 1,000 dilithium to get this sucker out. And since Beki built that Star Yard, she's going to be a bit delayed on that production. That depends on how aggressive Ray is going to be, and Ray is not really being aggressive with raiding, he's just being aggressive with expanding. Now that he has this forward one, he hasn't expanded his mining over here. So he may be unaware of this since it's been such a long time, but if someone does mention this to him, he may go ahead and get this mining, and then he would have a mining advantage over the other players. Because this map is rain, and as you can see, it's a very distinct line between having one expansion and having two. Like these guys, you either have two moon pairs or you have three. If you have three, then it means you took the middle. So at this rate, everybody just about has two moon pairs. The Borg players, some of them only have one miner, MightyMaster, but I think he's going to get another soon. And then, like in this case, Shadow only has the dilithium because he doesn't need tritanium too much. I've really increased the need for tritanium as Romulans, but there are still a couple, like the core Generics, that takes mostly dilithium. It doesn't take any tri, hardly. There you can see Fatal Exceptions getting his second Salar, and he's getting his upgrade facility. So very much a slow build-up for these bottom team players. However, the top team Borg are not really building any combat ships either, actually, now that I think about it. These guys have not built much. They may be trying to rush towards something. I've also modified, in the previous version, oh, I didn't change the tooltip yet. In the previous version, you required nodes level 3 to get the diamond and nodes level 4 for the cube, but I changed it overnight and I made it level 4 for the diamond and level 3 for the cube. So the diamond becomes more of a high-tech unit. I also made nanites cost more energy and actually cost a couple CC to cast. So we'll see how that works out for me. It looks like these Borg are really mining, but I don't know where he's spent this money. Unless he's getting a bunch of nodes, I think FleetNoob is giving resources to somebody. I really do. Or it could just be the fact that he built so many miners. That could have something to do with it. But where's his constructor? I imagine he has to get an uplink soon. Meanwhile, MightyMaster is going through his supply. He just started his sphere, so I guess this is a pretty early sphere, and we'll see what kind it is coming out. Ray's still getting Intrepids. He has a science, so he's probably going to go for Starfleet Command as soon as... Yep, there it goes. So the top team are playing their Borg and Federation role, which honestly, you know, the Federation role has been pretty effective in the past. Whereas the Borg, they could do very well in the beginning, but after a while they would start to get hit on supply really hard. The Romulans, on the other hand, had very little ability to do any rolling, to do any massed units. So here you can see Beki's getting her second Salar. Fatal Exception is... I wonder if he finished the Salar? I think he did. Yeah, so he got 2 Salar, and now he's going for a Diderdex. I was looking very carefully at the relationship between the Diderdex and the Salar, because the Salar has about the same offense, maybe slightly higher than the Diderdex. They both got an offense boost of 10. But the Salar, I gave it a very slight defense increase, and then I shifted its shields into, or its defenses into shields, so its hull is actually weaker than it was before, which means that if the enemy has like a Fed roll going, and you are trying to keep your Salars and cloak them out during combat, they will be easier to kill. They're more fragile because he'll be able to snipe your hull hit points before the 2-second cloak is done. So these are not designed to be spammed anymore. Like, I don't want to see entire fleets just of Salars. You could do it, they'd have a ton of long-range firepower, but they would be fragile like the long-range ships of other races, like the Excelsior II and the Assimilator. They have very good stats, and they can be masked, but if they get caught by an equal-sized enemy in short range, they're going to die, because their long range is their advantage. Whereas the Diderdex has much more hit points, it's medium range, and if there's a Diderdex and a Salar both, the Diderdex is going to get shot at, so it can't entirely tank. But you could keep your Salars behind the line while the Diderdex goes forward. Here we see these guys getting attacked by a sphere and a bunch of Intrepids. This kind of stinks. Oh, the other thing I should mention is the Diderdex stun I have increased to long range, and also moved it to the upgrade facility, so they can't get it early. But that should make it easier for them to combine with the Diderdex because they can stay behind, and even if you already have Diderdex, it could be worth it to get 1 or 2 Salars for the stun. For example, Beki does not have the upgrade facility, but if Fatal Exception Salars were here, he could stun one of these Intrepids and make sure that they get a kill on it. And Beki's getting allied repair, so now these guys can come down, and by using their Disruptor Bombardment stuns, they could get kills on these Intrepids. Let's see what kind of sphere this is. This is a... No, that doesn't mean anything. This is a double beam, double regen sphere, which is what people seem to be testing out the most. I've seen more double beam, double regen than anything else. Because it has the lowered cost, and it has a decent beam attack, but it also has the regeneration ability to keep it alive. As you can see, these Salars, I think they got another kill. He hasn't used the special yet, so he's just taking advantage of the fact that they have increased damage now. And Ray, having been away from the game for so long, is having trouble microing. He is losing Intrepids. Now, though, the Salars are probably going to have to retreat under this much firepower. This Galaxy in particular does plus 50% damage to long range, so the Salars are in trouble. So they come back and repair here. Now he has a Diderdex out. And Beki did not really need that Tritanium that died, so she can keep on building Salars. She's going to have 4. Is that right? No, okay, yeah, there it is. So yeah, Beki's going to have 4 Salars. Fatal Exception is going to have 2 Salars and a Dideridex and another Dideridex. And as you can see, he's already capped out because they're way tankier now, and they cost 87 supply. So the idea is you could have 1 or 2 Dideridex in your fleet, or even you could have 4 or 5, but they're going to be expensive the more you get. And then that's to encourage you to really mix in some Salars for the stun, and then once you get to Nyrexen tech, the Nyrexens cost significantly less supply. So even though they're not as tough defensively as the Dideridex, you can get them in there for their insane damage, and you can use them when your Dideridex fleet has used up all your supply. You see he just bought there. You can switch to Nyrexens and add those into your fleet, and they'll be a lot nicer. So now we have the combined... Who is attacking? Here we go. We have another dual regen, dual beam sphere, discovering the Wrath of Generix. And this is bad for him. As you can see, it fires 4 shots in a row, which will make it kind of hard for the bottom player to get out in some cases. In other cases, it might make it easier for the Romulan player to cloak out under fire, because he can sort of tell when the next volley is coming from that sphere. Although this volley might kill this Generix, we'll see. It depends on what subsystem hits he gets. Nope, okay, it's going to be able to escape. So when there's only one of these beam spheres, it's going to have trouble killing off these Generix, and he's already regenerated, so they might kill it, but I think he's going to chase them off. He's at least going to force them to retreat. Here come the Warbirds. They are getting hit by this turret, but I think there's too many of them. This Salar is taking damage, but the Federation ships are dying. Let's see what's happening. Beki may need to get this out soon, especially if this sphere comes in, because you'll also notice these Salars are doing a lot of... Oh, there's a ping! So now the Romulans cannot cloak out. You see that low hull damage, that low hull health on that Salar made it go down really quickly. And now this one's probably going to die too, because, like I say, its hull value is very low. If that sphere focuses fire on it, if he just clicks on it, there it goes. It's going to die. So yeah, these spheres have 32% reduced damage from beams. And this is a triple beam torpedo. It's a max damage sphere, or just about. If you had prime modules, then you could get more damage. But other than prime, that's about the max you can get. So here we have 2 Salars. That low hull value, I didn't increase their system value at all, so their subsystems are very fragile for their strength. I should also mention, yes, normally when increasing the defensive value of a ship, you would also increase its subsystem value, but I did not for the Dideridex. In the case of the Salar, the change I made actually would have made their subsystem slightly weaker, and I didn't do it, so consider that mercy. But, oh man, these guys, yeah, they're warbirds, but they're not invulnerable, and if the enemy has enough stuff to deal with you, you do have to keep them alive. And since they're so expensive in supply terms, you really can't afford to take any losses. So I'm pleased with this, because I was afraid that warbirds would be overpowered, and I think they probably are not. So, Ray lost his warp in, and he's supply locked. He's been getting almost exclusively Intrepids, but we'll start to see, I really want to see him expand his mining over here. But this forward base, this combined base with the Borg is really working out for him. MightyMaster is playing the nasty Borg econ game, which they could play already. They get all of their mining, and they get their recycling center. And for a while there, he would have been really low on supply, but it looks like he managed it really well, where he didn't dip into his reserves. And he may have gotten some help from FleetNoob over here. But because he never got completely supply blocked, and now he has these incubation chambers, MightyMaster has really managed his economy well, and he has these 2 spheres, and I expect to see another one soon, because he has the CCs. I'm also really curious to know what his CC level is at, as that would tell me, like, because that's another thing we are concerned about, higher levels of CC being overpowered. But I feel like it's overpowered in the case of nanites and things, but certain other ships, like the smaller ships, the Borg just had too much trouble massing ships, when honestly they should have been able to get a fair amount. So we will see. Shadow has built a warbird yard, and he's got his upgrade facility, and he's now getting Tal Shiar. So, he built, I think, a single Eresis, and now he's going for Daredecks too. Everybody loves Daredecks. They are really fun to play with, I have to say. They're just fun. But, like I say, whether they're the best decision against those spheres, they may be. I think, like I say, I think one or two Salars mixed in there that could use their disabling beam on these spheres. Like this one, they can stop it from regenerating for 7 seconds. And I think that's very valuable. Also, I would consider keeping these in different ship groups so that the Salars can deliberately stay far behind the Daredecks. I don't know if they're going to get a kill on this. Let me see. So, here in the middle, Fatal Exception has... he's probably about to get more to Daredecks, as that seems to be the ship of choice. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Warbirds, and the floater. And 1 down here, actually, so he has 6. Oh, so this is an interesting battle. We are fighting right on the yard here. But with these Borg ships are going to do so much damage. And they're not going to take hardly any damage from the Salars, so it's really seeing how fast these Federation ships can die, and if these things can cycle back into the yard. And if that Daredecks can't get back into the yard, then we know for sure that the Salars can't. But maybe it can. It's turning. Oh, it died. There's just too much damage on the spheres. So now these Salars are going to die much faster, so they're going to die, and the bottom team is going to lose this fight because they can't get into the yard fast enough. So the 2 beam spheres are really ripping them apart. I may need to lower the cost on that slightly. I mean, lower the stats or increase the cost of these beam spheres. I'm taking it into advisement. At the same time, this might have gone very differently if the top team had their other Warbirds around. So, let's see. Yeah, this one's going to get into the yard and repair, but I don't even know if they're getting kills anymore because these Intrepids can escape. So it's really going to be up to these Romulan fleets to come and help out here, but I think the top team has gained a decisive advantage. And who's getting shot at? Is it the Ambassador? The Ambassador takes half damage from long range. I think these need to retreat to the starbase. It's the only thing that can really save them right now. And yep, there they go repairing again. But the yard is about to blow up, I think. Yep. So that Salar needs to cloak out and run, but I think it's going to die. This one manages just to cloak out successfully. As you can see, man, these beam spheres, even though I decreased their offensive value, in fact, I need to go back and check the tooltips and make sure that I decrease the... Oh, wow. Make sure that I decrease the tooltip for these, because I decreased the offensive value of the beam module by 5. It used to be 10, now it's 5. So their overall damage is lower than the other, like the prime module, for example. But yes, because they fire their weapons in volleys of 4 for this one and 5 for this one, because it fires 5 shots at once and then it charges up, that will make it a whole lot harder for cloaking races like Romulans to predict. Because you have to realize, oh, that sphere is going to shoot in a volley soon. I need to cloak before the volley starts. Or in this case, you see, when there's 3 of them, it just gets overwhelming. Because they all shoot at once, and if they kill the Warbird in their volley, then the Warbird's just dead and there is nothing you can do. But if they don't kill the Warbird, then you can just easily escape because you know it's going to be 3 or 4 seconds until the next volley starts. So here they come. They're over here. They're ready to catch the Salar and some of these miners. But the other fleets are coming for them, I think. Nope, never mind. They're not. So there's no help coming for Beki. She's just stuck on her own. And now the feds are coming down. So over here, let's see what other technology we have coming out of these players. Okay, so Shadows switched to Nyrexans, which, like I was saying, they have really good firepower, and they're cheaper on supply. Yep, there's another warp in. Over here, Fatal Exception has been building to Daredek still. He prefers them. Do they have their special yet? They do. So you'll notice only the ranked up ones can use. What? Oh, Shadow has the special. Fatal Exception does not. Only a ranked up to Daredeks can use this special because it costs 425 and a level 1 to Daredeks does not have enough energy to cast it. And even this will be really difficult because if you were cloaked and you decloaked, then you wouldn't have enough energy. Or right after you use it, you don't have enough energy to cloak. So it's a very difficult ability to use, which makes up for the fact that it's long range and it does 30% decreased damage on the targets that it affects. So let's see, who else is fighting? Oh, it looks like that Sailor from earlier. Its crew finally went away. And this thing is beaten up. There's not much left of it. Yep, there go the Borg. They're just going to take it. Dead. Can you imagine being those guys boarding from the starbase onto that warbird? They're like, there's a severely damaged warbird that's probably going to die soon, but there's a chance we might save it, so we need you to teleport over to that ship. They're like, they get there and like, okay, let's try to fix the engines, and then the Borg come and kill it. Sad day. So, I want to look at this in terms of production. Right now, MightyMaster did lose a fair chunk of his income. Well, okay, he lost a moon pair, and all the miners that entails. But, where is it exactly? But the other players did not, and Beki lost everything. So the top team definitely had the resource advantage. Here we see Ray going for his Urati Yard. He does have a nice little Fed roll going. He has his fast ships and his slow ships. And I think he's been taking a pounding throughout the game, but he's also built a lot of turrets. He's fortified this position. He's mostly just made it so that the Borg player could do better. And these 3 spheres, there aren't any more spheres coming to join them. But over here, Yellow, FleetNoob has gone ahead and gotten a diamond, and this is good. I wanted to see this. That also means he does have nodes level 4 now, so that cost him quite a chunk of change. And he probably already has nanites if he's getting partial adaptation. So he's getting another diamond. He has the 1 diamond, 1 sphere, another diamond coming, so he has 2 diamonds. And as we saw in the previous replay, I haven't posted it yet, but in the other replay I did, the warbirds were getting their butts kicked by the nanites because all these beautiful warbirds, their specialty is still in escaping. And they would cloak out and they would get like, if your engines, for example, if your engines are damaged but they're still green and then they get disabled, they will go into the destroyed condition. So if you are hit by a disable and you already had damage on the subsystem, it gets destroyed. And so the nanites were turning all of these Daredeks that had taken like a scratch to their engines. If they get hit by nanites, no, their engines are destroyed, and so they would just be floating there and spinning. And then obviously if they cloak, then the nanites destroy their engines, or destroy their weapons as well. So, and if they were sitting right next to a yard, you know, about to repair, there was that veteran Daredeks that got nanite disabled like an inch away from the yard. So, yes, we were exploring how nanites are powerful against warbirds, and it's going to be interesting to see. There's a scout on these, so the bottom team knows where they are. But when those 3 spheres combine with the 2 diamonds in the sphere, we'll see if the warbirds can handle that. And then Ray's ships could come as well, although it'll be difficult for him to get all the way over there. He's getting Defiance, which as Mason, chassis level 3 is really expensive, so he spent a lot of money to get those Defiance. And let's see, they're going to do a lot of damage to the Sailors, although this entire fleet is now medium range. So like his Intrepids will tank rather nicely, especially if the spheres were there as well and Ray just threw in some Intrepids. You do have to be careful as Romulans, else you end up with an entirely medium range fleet like this one. Although the Romulans really don't have very many short range options, do they? They only have the Laval, that's their only short range ship. Huh, I wonder if I should change that. I mean, it's sort of between their medium and long range ships. So here we see the turrets. These are turrets from a long ago age. You may just want to decommission them because they ain't going to do nothing to a sphere. And this is also a dual regen, dual beam sphere. Where is that shooting? Okay, so all sorts of Romulan death going on here. These Borg are coming to combine. And even going right into the starbase, which is, he fully upgraded it to deal with this, but I mean, all these miners and constructors are still going to die because he can't put enough damage on these spheres. They are dealing damage to the beam sphere, so this isn't the one that can regen. And here come the Romulans. Let's see what they do. There's a stun on this one, although he does not have the Dideridek's damage reducing ability. This could be minus 30% damage on all of these enemies if you had researched that. The nanites are down, and there's a Salar taking damage, although if it doesn't cloak, it's going to die. So now there's only Diderideks around with their really tough defense. We'll see if they're able to get into the yard to repair in time. I think they probably will be. Even though these nanites are these diamonds are launching their 150 damage torpedo. The Diderideks are really tough defensively. And this is where, if you had one or two Salars, the Salars could be using their stun ability on the ship that's running, but as you saw, the Salar already died. This one, bring it! Have the Salar stun that diamond and just gang up on it and kill it. There's an engine disable going off on that Diderideks. But I think both of these are going to escape and repair. And here come the Norexans with their special. I really wanted to see a stun from that Salar. That Salar stun, just like stun one enemy Borg ship and then catch them while they run away. And Shadow is sending his forces over here. Why? Where are you going? What, do you want to fight the Feds? Oh man, you guys could kill this. All these damaged Borg ships. And I guess in that encounter the bottom team lost the one Salar, and that was the only loss, besides all of Shadow's economy. So these guys are going over there. Like I say, if they had the Dideridek special and had been using it, and also the Salar special to stun the ships that were running, or the spheres that were regenerating, I think they could have done a lot better there. But now they're in a tricky spot, because Rey is basically going to kill this for free. And there's not much the Romulans can do. These Diderideks can fight a bit, and since they're next to a repair yard, they might do okay. But he's splitting his attention. And this upgrade facility is going to die. So, let's see. Shadow doesn't really have the ability to build more stuff right now. He has offense upgrades, but not defense upgrades on his starbase. He really needs Tritanium to get those upgrades, or it's going to die. There's a third diamond. And now with the 4 spheres, you can see every one of these Borg ships is regenerating really fast. Meanwhile, the Borg players have more CCs than they really need right now. I am keeping track of that. So maybe, yeah, we'll see. Maybe I need to, I'm still considering, but it is possible I need to increase the cost of nodes research, because they do have quite a lot of collective connections right now. So there goes Shadow's starbase. As you can see, he's got all of his warbirds in one place. He's about to decloak on this, but it would be better if you do it before they kill the yard. Come on, come on. There it is. Okay, so this combined fleet is going to decloak on him. And in a minute I'll show you the Norexan, what it's like now. But the Feds are focusing fire on the Generics, so they're going to die very quickly. But these warbirds are unleashing a lot of damage. There goes that one. There goes that one. And pretty soon all these ADAI ships are going to start dying, and then the medium range Romulan ships will do better. Okay, so the Norexan. The Norexan, I have modified it so now it gains 10 defense to its shields when multipurpose weapons is inactive, which is less than it was before. But it also gains 10 offensive value when they're active. So, however, when it's active, you know, your energy regeneration rate is lower. So if you want to keep it active for the damage, you're not going to be able to regenerate special energy. You have to go back in defense mode in order to get that special energy ready for the next round of firing. But now the Romulans have so much firepower here, I don't know how well the Feds are going to be able to use their repair yard. I think Ray's going to lose everything. But it will take a while. Let's see what's taking damage on the Romulan side. There's a Norexan taking a lot of damage. Still the Generics are getting fired on. So this Generix is going to die. Ray is finally running away. That Salar could do a bit of a stun on something here. That Acura is not going to make it into the yard. Now I expect they're going to kill the turret off. So, interestingly enough, I'm intrigued by the way that the Generic Spectre seems like it would complement the Norexan, because look at the Intrepid. The Intrepid is a short-range ship with ADAI. So the Norexan is medium range. So the Intrepid takes reduced damage from Norexans and deals extra damage to Norexans because Norexans have tactical weapons arrays and will take that extra damage. So Intrepids are a pretty nasty counter to Norexans. However, you have the Generic Spectre, which deals increased damage to short range. So in that case, it deals extra damage to Intrepids, but the Intrepids also take less damage from medium range. So I think that balances out almost perfectly, so it does about normal damage. You could also get the Sair, which is a long-range ship that does extra damage to short range. So between the Sair and the Generics, you could probably find something that would work well with your Norexans. With the offset being, of course, that whatever you choose, whatever small ship you choose, it's going to get shot at before the Warbirds take damage. So I wonder if a Salar died. Oh no, there it is. So I'm going to analyze this fleet real quick. Beki has her 2 Salars. Fatal Exception has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 Dideridex and 1 Salar. And Shadow is the one with the Norexans right now. So what was that? 10 Dideridex, and then like 3 or 4 Norexans for... Oh shoot, let's see if this guy makes it into the yard. Or maybe he's trying to escape instead. Oh, and he gets engine disabled and killed. There's just way too much Borg firepower here. And if this repair yard goes down, then the Romulans, these Warbirds, are in a bit of trouble. They really don't enjoy fighting this battle without a repair yard there. But they're coming anyway. Oh, you have no idea how much I really want to see you guys use this special right now. Like this guy could use it. This guy could activate his special and give these ships minus 30% damage for 10 seconds. Please, please do that. Let's see it go. Also, yeah, you can see the sheer firepower of those Norexans coming out. They also do increased damage to long range, so they can kill the diamonds. It looks like there's a bit of confusion about what they're firing on, as they split their fire between that one that's running and this one that's staying. Once again, if you had Salars here, you could stun these guys, but they're going to kill this sphere even though it starts regenerating. I'm having trouble seeing what's dying on the Romulan side. I do see some Norexans that have taken a lot of damage. There's a Norexan that's going to die, probably. There's a Dideridex that's damaged. There, the Norexan got killed. When these Norexans are in offensive mode, I think they have less defense than a Salar. Or maybe the Salars are just ranked and that's why. So there goes one diamond. Now the diamonds are getting caught. These nanites all over the place. Although the CC cost really isn't affecting him at all. He has so much CC he doesn't mind casting the diamonds. So, let's see. Yeah, these guys are running. Yep, the Salar special would be really nice, but they don't have it. Oh, yes they do. Wait, no they don't. Okay, this one does, but its weapons are disabled. Which stinks. This one does not have it researched. This one does not have it researched. But if you had the Salar special right now, you could stun one of these diamonds and kill it. So this Dideridex needs to... Oh, he's engine and weapon disabled. He can't cloak or run. That's not good. We get to see the smooth underbelly of a Dideridex. Something just blew up. Oh, okay. And it looks like the bottom team are about finished here, and Fatal Exception is probably going to GG. So, what do you guys think? I think the Romulans, let's see, one of their early battles against the Borg and the Feds, they lost because of the engine disables, they lost 2 or 3 or maybe 4 warbirds, and they didn't kill hardly anything. They only got a couple Fed ships, and the Sphere was fine. So I think that played a big part of this. I'm really curious about the Borg economy, because it is true, they had a lot of CCs there. So maybe I should have both cubes and diamonds require level 3? Or I should make level 3 particularly be more expensive? I'm going to ask these guys what they think. So this is Tryptic signing off.